Hello and welcome to the third poem in our Ovid, not Covid series. This is a poem from Briseis to Achilles. Achilles, of course, the great Greek warrior who fights at Troy. Briseis is his war bride. You can read a lot more about their story in Homer's Iliad. But backstory for this poem, Achilles has claimed Briseis as his war bride, but in book one of Homer's Iliad, this poem almost requires you to know the story of the Iliad before it makes full sense, I'm afraid. Ovid's a very elusive, A-L-L, not E-L, I mean that too, poet. So you need to know the Greek sources sometimes that he's talking about. In the first book of Homer's Iliad, Agamemnon decides that he wants to claim Briseis for himself. Another Greek commander, therefore, sends his heralds to Achilles and demands that he hand over, that he surrenders Briseis, and she is taken from Achilles. Achilles is so angry about this that he withdraws from the war and sulks for 19 books of the poem. It really is the longest drop in literature. I've said it before, I will say it again. About halfway through that sulk, the Greeks realise they need him back because they're losing the war, and they try and bribe him to come back to them and fight with them again. They offer him Briseis back and also gold, bronze, horses, all kinds of things, and he refuses them because he's too angry. And that is the immediate aftermath of that is the moment where this poem is set. You can, as I say, read a lot more about Briseis in the Iliad, but not really, because although we get a much longer and more detailed version of her story, she only says 10 lines in the entire poem, and they're in book 19, where she is sad about the death of Patroclus. It's Ovid who realises that she could become a whole character and gives us a whole 150 and something line poem, all from her perspective. So the poem begins with Briseis describing herself as raptor. She has been seized, taken away, dragged away from Achilles. It's also the seizing word for rape. That's the same origin. Violence is inherent in it. She calls herself Barbarica. She's a barbarian woman. She scarcely knows the Greek enough to write this letter. She says their relationship, in other words, is unequal on multiple counts. They are servant and slave and master. They are man and woman. They are Greek and barbarian. So they have a totally unequal status. She is his slave. Briseis' complaint, that's the motivation for this letter, is that Achilles didn't try and keep her when Agamemnon sent his heralds to take her away. That's all the action is in book one of the Iliad. And this, I think, is an incredibly psychologically astute piece of writing on Ovid's part. Briseis didn't choose Achilles. She was married. Her husband was killed by Achilles and his men. But then she was his, and then she's taken away, so she loses the only thing she's ever known, and then she loses the next thing as well. And so it seems to me incredibly plausible that she would just be hurt and feel rejected because her status is so precarious. She's clinging, really trying to cling to what she knows. We're not even entirely sure, I think, from this poem, whether there's a sexual relationship between them or not. She says that when Agamemnon's heralds come to collect her and take her away, she says they ask silently if there's love between her and Achilles. Perhaps there isn't. She is hurt by the fact that he doesn't care about her. She says, "You let me go without a kiss, nulla oscula." And then we get this incredible insight into her status when she talks about Patroclus, Achilles' companion. He says, why are you crying? You'll be back soon. And he says this at the moment, she says, cum tradebar, when I was handed over. She is literally just an object. She is the object of this passive verb. Achilles won't take her back when she is offered. This is Iliad book 9. It's 10 talents, 12 horses, all kinds of other things. He refuses it and she feels incredibly rejected. In line 41 she says, "What have I done for you to value me so cheaply?" And then, like I say, this poem is full of allusions to the Iliad. Then comes the echo of a speech by Andromache, which is Iliad 6. Andromache tells Hector, her husband, they are Trojans, that he has to take care of himself because she doesn't have any other relatives left. She says, "You're now my father, my brother, my mother, you're all my relatives." And Briseis says something very similar here to Achilles. All her relatives are dead. And she says, it's an intentional nod. She says, "You're my master, my husband, my brother, tu dominus, tu vir, tu mihi frata eras." She's so afraid that he's going to leave Troy without her. In the Iliad, he has threatened to sail away. And her slaves' expectations are so low. that even though she knows he'll marry somebody respectable, she's just his slave. She's just hoping that he'll pick somebody who's not unkind to her. But she wants, her status is kind of dual. She wants to be more important to that than him, but she still thinks that she might be. She says, line 89, she says, your anger was roused by me. It can be stopped by me. She rates herself as being able to persuade him. She says, Ulysses and Ajax have failed to persuade you to come back and fight, but I'll succeed. She says, I'll mix your orders with my kisses. Multaque mandatis oscula mixta ferrum. I love that line. If your love has turned to boredom with me, she says, just kill me. There's no good life for her ahead. She says, I'm losing my looks, so my trust in you is the only hope that I have. And the poem concludes with a little bit of a sort of upwards turn, I think, a slight bit. She says, Troy has plenty of enemies for you, but me, whether you decide to sail away or stay here, just order me to come to my master. I'll see you next time for, the mother of all stepmothers, Phaedra to Hippolytus. See you next time.